live to Parliament now. Members of the House have described as problematic a ruling by the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, that MPs can be marked present even if they are within the precincts of Parliament. This is after the Adentan MP, Mohammed Adamu Ramadan, raised concerns over the name of the Domi Kwabena MP, Sarah Adwoa being marked present in the votes and proceedings for last Friday. This concern sharply divided the MPs over the true implementation of the Speaker's ruling. My colleague Kwesi Parker-Wilson is joining us live with more. Parker, what are the implications of this new ruling that we're hearing of?
Well, I think there's confusion over this ruling, Blazer, because the members of Parliament themselves do not understand or do not have a better appreciation of the true interpretation of this ruling. Now, it came about when the Northern MP, Samuel Okoye-Blakwa, that was last Thursday, raised concerns about why the Ahanta West MP and, of course, the Chieftaincy Minister, Ebenezer Kojokum, was marked present in the votes and proceedings because he was not in the chamber. But the Speaker's response was that he saw the bedridden MP, of course, in an ambulance who was within the presence of Parliament. And so if he is within the presence of Parliament, there is nothing wrong registering him as present or marking him as present in the chamber. Well, I must say that day, the MPs did not really raise concerns about it until today when the name of Sarah Adwoa was captured in the votes and proceedings for Friday. And everyone knows, including the MPs, that the Member of Parliament for Domi Kwabena is not in the country. She's not within that jurisdiction. So it's quite surprising that her name will be captured in the votes and proceedings. And so that raised the concerns as to whether the Speaker's ruling has taken effect, and that is why, even though she's not around, her name has been captured. So the Asawase MP, Muntaka Mubarak, in fact, indicated that his colleague MP, that is the Adenta MP, did not understand what the Speaker meant. But what the Speaker sought to say was that if you come and you are perhaps even within committee meetings and you fail to sign, they have to mark you as present. So signing is not necessarily important. So that was the point Asawase MP made, Muntaka Mubarak. But I must say that the whole West MP disagreed with him strongly. And that was where the divided opinion came out from. He said that he has been in this Parliament for quite some time now. And it will be a bit problematic if they are to follow the orders of the Speaker that if you are within the presence of Parliament. And Blessed, the presence of Parliament can be the car park. It can be the Job 600. So the whole West MP, Emmanuel Bedra, made the point that going forward, if this rule is supposed to apply, what it means is that MPs will come to Parliament, but will be in their offices and say they attend a parliamentary sitting. So that wouldn't augur well for parliamentary proceedings going forward. And the Bia East MP, Richard Achampon, also added that one way to deal with this is to go electronic. So if you have some biometrics here, you clog in. If you are leaving Parliament, then you clog out. Then people will know that A MP, B MP were in the chamber as against C or D MPs who were not in the chamber. So that was some of misunderstanding that happened in Parliament or in the chamber. It is the hope of many of the MPs that the Speaker, when he assumed his seat, would bring some finality to this issue.
Parker, do we know how come Sarah Adwoa was recorded as present, particularly when reports are out there that she's not in the country?
Blessed, the majority leader, Oseche Mensah Bonusu, made the point that it could just be an error, just as about 8 NDC MPs were marked absent when, in fact, they were actually in the chamber. It's the same thing that happened. So even though she's not around, perhaps the table office could not collate the numbers properly or the names properly, reason they added her name as MPs who were present in the chamber. So it was an error that occurred, and that the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, who at the time was presiding, directed the table office to ensure that the errors are rectified, her name be removed from the present list and add to MPs who are not present or who were not present in the chamber last Friday.
And do we have the proper records now? That has been the concern of the minority as to whether or not there were 274 or 275 MPs at the time the e-levy was being considered.
Well, so the table of affairs would do all the necessary corrections, and Tuesday, unfortunately, tomorrow Parliament is rising. They are going on recess, so perhaps they would have to wait when they return from recess. That is when they can cross-check the updated record. The current vote and proceedings, as the Speaker of Parliament will put it, is just a draft which can be corrected, and that is why on the order paper, the item 4 is always about correction of votes and proceedings. So if there are concerns about the votes and proceedings, it will be corrected and the table of affairs would capture same. So it will not be ready tomorrow, but of course when they return from their recess, I'm told that they're going to spend a little over a month. When they return, I'm sure the records will capture that.
All right then, Paka, bye for now. There's a lot happening in Parliament. The Speaker has also been commenting, and also the National Security Minister, Kandapa, is blaming Parliament's inability to hold public office holders accountable for the increasing rate of corruption-related activities in the country. Now, the menace has been cited as one of the issues which have the tendency to undermine the country's stability. Answering a question from the Boku MP, the minister indicated that corruption will persist until Parliament becomes effective.
Inept political leadership and corruption are some of the risks that really influence insecurity in our sub-region and of Africa as a whole. How is his outfit ensuring that this particular risk is reduced in Ghana? That's all I'm just asking.
Mr. Speaker, I think this is an issue that we probably will need some time to discuss. Corruption and the extent to which it influences terrorist attacks and extremist attacks. But, Mr. Speaker, under a democratic governance, the best way to stop corruption is to allow the accountability institutions to work. And Mr. Speaker, the most effective accountability institution is Parliament. If there is corruption, it is because Parliament is not stopping it. And it's a major issue that I believe we cannot do justice to it now. But if at another time the honorable member wants us to have a full-scale discussion on corruption and how to stop it so that it doesn't influence extremist attacks, probably it may be worth doing. But it's also worth pointing out that it's an issue that Parliament should be concerned about, because I believe the best way to solve the problem is to allow the accountability institution to handle it. And the main accountability institution in this instance is the Parliament, which approves the budget for the government to implement and which has the power to get the Auditor General to audit the accounts of government and to submit it to the Public Accounts Committee for scrutiny.